Okay, so for the second part of the AMLogic BSP, I'll introduce another change that I made uh, just to avoid putting more audio files. So I added like a play note function, like a couple of them, that just play some tones. I will not get too much into the logic behind it, but when we want to play tone and PCM devices, then we need to take care of a lot of things to avoid like buffer underrun, to avoid buffer overrun. And when we use tiny ALSA and not like a ALSA with a software like an encoder support or like the plug hardware devices and so on, there are more difficulties into it. So there is a helper code that I made common so that I can also test it like on an emulator. That gets and plays like some notes. It receives like an octave, and it loads and it plays it during like a duration. And if you go and play enough sounds like frequently enough in different octave, you will get richer sound. But this is not a music theory class. Okay, you can make some noticeable things, and to do it, there was like some overriding of a function instead of like playing file, calling like BSP sound of generated file sequence, and then it receives like a file name and plays some notes that I made. Okay, so this is one little thing about it. Other than that, there are also other things that I thought are nice to use from the virtual ones, because there are exercises for the particular devices. A lot of the exercises are figure out the device tree and add like LED support, like and which is usually relatively easy and easy enough and clear enough to not give the solution for even on this published project. Although I will say it and I do it anyhow. So what I want to look at is, according to the BSP parameters I mentioned like in the previous video, there is a sequence, all right, for initializing. And what we did here, because I overclocked the system, then I actually went and reduced it, because otherwise you can have all kind of problems. And if you do it early enough, then you will not have all kind of problems. But if it's not so easy to make it early enough, but I'm not talking about it now, because like an advanced exercises in like our courses to troubleshoot all kind of really weird stuff where there are bit flipped in the memories and things are like not things that you will see every day. So anyhow, we add some init helpers and we source them, and then we initialize the audio playback. This is what we do here. Another thing that we do is, because it's like a really MC device, we decide what are the devices that we make and where they reside at, like they have MC block 1, MC block 0. So by default, like on Linux and on the chipsets that we're using, then it will be MC block 1 for the EMC device itself. And there is the partition mark like for the installer. If we have like SDA, then it's not SDA P1. However, if we have EMC or loop, then it will be P1. Okay, like for the first partition. So this is how like the init looks like, and BSP name init will be called early enough in the process. Now there are also BSP functions and the dual kind of things. So this server one, I bypassed it for the AMLogic BSP, okay, because it uses sounds instead. So this play sound from file, it will not be played anyhow, because the sample rate of the files that I packed is too low, and I didn't want to add more files because I didn't want to increase the run disk size. Recording, it's an exercise. Command line, we check if someone provides PscgRD hardware audio output backend, and they can provide it to either be like HDMI or headphone jack. And as you can understand, this is where the sound will come off. So if you connect some speakers to the headphone jack or some headphones, then you will hear it from them if it's not HDMI. There is a simple auto detection script like for HDMI. It gives ideas. When you make like real devices, then you make things super robust. Other than that, there are particular things that have to do like with the flashing of devices. in this case, one of the things would be like flashing the bootloader that we built on the previous things. Other thing can be backing up some stuff, some partitions, or backing up the bootloader prior to flashing, so that you will have it. You can do all kind of things, and we also source the audio file. So what you have here, you had enough time to look at. We're sourcing these fellows, okay? So let's look at the audio initialization. So basically, this is the list of controls. These tricks, I do it sometimes when I just want to document, and a lot of time I prefer to document at the bottom because people have short attention span, and if they see like things on the top of the file, that's what they read. And then if I'm teaching something, then I'm already experienced enough to see that people read and then don't pay attention to what I actually want to say or actually show. So it's nice to have. It's over there, and it tells a lot of things like how the audio is routed. I will not talk about it in this recording because it will take like a lot of time. And so we have like the BSP init audio playback here, okay? That is this file here. So what do we do here? So if we have a command line parameter as we saw before, then we call a respective function. Otherwise, we're going to check if the A sound system recognizes an ELD device, if it recognizes an HDMI device that like supports audio. And so, if so, then it's going to say that our output is HDMI, otherwise it's going to be the headphone jack. So for the initialization itself, we use Tiny Mix, which is like the Tiny ALSA mixer, and then we set where things like come from, okay? And what is going to actually set whether we use like the analog output or like the digital output is going to be this control called 14, okay? So there are other things to do. We can also set the volumes, we can do all kind of things, and we can set like the default sample rate. We can put 48,000, it will work well. We can put 4,400, and this hardware does not support 16,000, and it shows two cards, but it's incorrect. It has like for the analog and for like the digital HDMI one, they are the same card, so it can be confusing. And there are other audio routes. It's not a class about the audio here. So this is addition like to the BSP, okay? And they're just packed in the initram in the RAM disk because of the way the project is made. I'm considering separating it and then copying it, but then it makes sense because, you know, to separate things by BSP, but in the init, and then some things are like more easily grabbable, but it just makes it so much easier to pack and unpack the initramfs if everything is in the same place. So for now it stays like this. And the last thing, which is super important, is this fellow, BSP pre-create partitions. Now, this is an optional function that happens when we do the install array only. We can do it also in OTA update if you want, or like on an AB. And what we do here is show a warning that you saw in the previous logs, replacing your boot firmware and boot code and U-boot code. So this is what we do. We take like the removable media device. We could alternatively put just the file of the bootloader, but since I can use the exact same structure on the first 4 megabytes of the disk, then of the MMC or of the MMC card, the SD card, or the MMC, that's what I choose to do. So that's what I do. I just put it verbatim, and I could do it in an OTA update, but then I would want to copy until 444 offset in bytes, and from 512 and more. Why? Because in the rest there will be like the MBR, the DOS partition table. If I want to put GPT partitions, that's something else. Here I don't do it. I keep the simple things when we talk about like the EFI code, and you have very, very, very good examples for EFI on a separate project that is secure, that is for secure boot and UEFI, that I uploaded some videos for that, like for doing it like without. I don't know if I uploaded a video. I think I uploaded a video how to do it, and I definitely uploaded like a very serious and bulletproof code worked for x86 devices, both emulators and a couple of real devices. Then there, like, we use GPT, but here by default we don't use it because we want to do some simple things, and it's fun. So, and it's also a part of the exercises, of course. So this is how the RAM disk BSP is incorporated, and that's all. And with this we covered everything.